Welcome to another episode of OG55. I'm joined by Jared of Capture the Magic and Mr. Seymour Duck. We were talking about AI. We're going to dive into this Tilly Norwood AI actress controversy. We're going to dive into that and wherever this conversation leads. I mean, it's AI. There is so much to dive into when it comes to this particular topic. We're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down. I got Jared. I got Mr. Duck in the house. Up next on OG55. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55, all human edition. None of us are AI. Well, two humans and one duck, actually.
We do have an animated duck with us, but I think
we do have an animated duck with us. Yes, we do. But Mr. Duck, how are you doing today, sir? I'll start with you.
Oh, I'm doing amazing, and glad to be here with you guys in Talk Shop.
Absolutely, Mr. Duck. Where can everybody find you on social media, sir?
Yeah, you can find me on X at Mr. Seymour Duck.
There he is. Make sure you follow him on X, Mr. Seymour Duck. Love the new set, Mr. Duck, with your boo mug. Looking really good, man.
Thank you.
Looks fantastic. Jared from Capture the Magic. Welcome back, my friend. How you doing?
Doing good. Thank you for having me. AI is a very interesting topic, and I feel like in the last 6 months in particular, I've gone through like a crash course because it's like I guess you could now, but it's like you get a degree in AI. You just got to learn it as it all comes out every week. It all changes. It's kind of crazy in terms of how quickly, like where it's even gone the past 6 months, where it was even like 2 years ago. So it's quite the interesting topic for sure.
Yeah, we'll dive into it because there is so much. I think this is going to really impact, especially the stuff that we love. You know, we're all huge Disney fans. We love entertainment, all that stuff. This is really going to impact the entire industry in a huge way, and we'll dive into it. But Jared, where can everybody find you on social media?
You can find me at Cat the Magic everywhere, YouTube, social media, and then if you want theme park related, information about Disney World, Universal Studios, you can find me at CTM Podcast with my wife and I. We have a podcast where we delve into reviews and park specific things, if that's what you're looking for there.
There we go. Make sure you subscribe to him and follow Mr. Duck on X. All right, let's dive right in. This is a crazy topic. This is courtesy of TechCrunch.com. Hollywood is not taking kindly to the AI-generated actress Tilly Norwood. It says here, Tilly Norwood is a London-based actress with about 40,000 Instagram followers. Also, she's not real. She's an AI-generated character created by Zekoya, the AI division of the production company Particleo. Aline van der Velden, the Dutch producer who founded Particleo, I'm probably massacring these names. I do apologize to the Dutch. Introduced the idea of Norwood at the Zurich Film Festival in September. Van der Velden is currently seeking an agent to represent Norwood, who has garnered strong reactions from Hollywood. Now, Mr. Duck, I mean, we've had SAG-AFTRA says here, came out against this AI actress, Emily Blunt as well. Hollywood is not taking too kindly to this. This is something that I think that really scares the industry. I'll start with you, Mr. Doug. What are your thoughts on this particular situation, sir?
See, for me as a tech bro, I'm always fascinating of these like AIs coming through, and seeing an AI being represented by Hollywood. It's very weird, but at the same time, I'm just like concerned because it could bring down to a slippery slope where it could take over our jobs, and then it's like, are we just all going to watch AI slop and nothing is real anymore and take all over our jobs, right? And it's not just like in Hollywood; it could be everything, right? Imagine working at McDonald's and everything's automated, everything's AI, nobody's working there. But then, who's going to buy McDonald's if the people who worked at McDonald's don't have the jobs to pay for McDonald's? So it's like Hollywood, all the jobs will be taken away, but it's like, okay, but where all the jobs go? I don't want to go down that slippery slope. So you really have to think about it. It's like, do we need regulations with AI in regards to like Hollywood? and in the creation of content being made, especially now with agencies hiring. And I looked up this one here, and I was like, she didn't even Tilly Norwood doesn't even look like a quality AI, and people are getting upset though because it can take over our jobs, and that's the one thing. It's like it brings you down to a slippery slope where it's like, okay, imagine an actor be like, okay, just take my image, I don't even have to do any work, and then you just watch him. Let's imagine Robbie Downey Jr. He's like, yeah, I'll be Iron Man forever, Doom, Doctor Doom forever, right? And you just take a picture of him, like put it in the computer, right? Like, digitize him in AI, and be he could always be Doom, a Doctor Doom forever, ageless.
No, no, 100%. And that's the thing. It's like, think movies, for example, movies like, Star Wars, Solo, right? I mean, if that movie was made in 20 years from now, it wouldn't have been Alden Ehrenreich. It would have been, I mean, it probably would have been AI Harrison or something, assuming they would have gotten the rights from Harrison. I'm sure that he'd have to sign off on that. But like, going forward, I'm assuming that's what's going to happen, where you have a legendary actor, a legendary actress, and their likeness can be used forever. Mary Poppins, speaking of Emily Blunt, she played Mary Poppins in the sequel. You technically, I mean, you wouldn't even need to recast for a Mary Poppins sequel if you were to do it again. You could have,
And
Julie Andrews. Go ahead, Mr. Deck.
and there was a controversy with Fortnite and Darth Vader using the voice.
which was pretty funny. If you saw the early ones before with the Unleashed Vader, there were some pretty funny clips that came out of that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What do you think about this whole thing, Jared? No, what's your thought? What's your thoughts on this in terms of this Tilly Norwood thing and what it means for the industry in terms of like what Seymour was saying in terms of people having roles forever, like Robert Downey playing Iron Man forever? What are your thoughts on what this means?
Yeah, I see Seymour's point, and that is definitely something that could happen. We haven't seen like the audience's reaction to like, or will they go see a movie that has an AI actor or all AI actors? I suppose that is the one thing here. If audiences reject it, which you could see, they're just like, I don't want to see AI slob. I want to see actual actors. I think that could be the thing that we just don't know yet in terms of what is the mass adoption. It's one thing to have AI in terms of like, there are currently like AI influencers on social media that look real, but it's another thing to have like your entertainment. But I kind of think what will end up happening, like a lot of technology adaptation, is there's going to be new jobs open up. It's going to take over some jobs undoubtedly, but I kind of think there's going to end up being this split where you're going to have this where people do want real human stuff, and you'll have a studio that they're not going to do AI. Like, we are real human actors, and there could be a place for that. Like, I am curious about where that split goes and what the audience's acceptance of AI is. But I do think from an actor's perspective, like if you were a medium-sized studio or a startup studio and you got the likeness to use Robert Downey Jr. in a movie, and maybe it's cheaper to do that, it's a way for actors to also make more money. So I could see them leaning into it as well. Like, they don't technically act in it, but you just let them use their AI likeness for a role or something like that. Like, it has a lot of flexibility and potential. In terms of what it could end up doing, it could just be mass chaos. Like, I kind of think that's where it is. And I'm not one to like, I think if you talk about regulation, governments are always late to the game. So what type of regulation would come down? How would that impact it? I think there will be regulation. I just don't know what that looks like and how quickly this all evolves. You could be constantly just chasing that sort of white rabbit of trying to catch up to it. And then you look at like Disney, Warner Brothers, Comcast are all suing about AI infringement on their IPs as well. So you've got a lot of fights going on with this stuff. And Hollywood at the same time, the Writers Guild, they don't want AI being used to write stuff. But AI is going to be used, and let's be honest, they've been using AI to write stuff. I mean, how else do you explain some of the stuff that has come out on some way?
Yeah.
But it's like this struggle of not wanting to have it, but then I think due to cost, they're going to end up accepting it on some level. So it's sort of like, how much do they accept? How much do they fight? Is going to be really interesting. And then I think independent startup studios could totally embrace it, and they could scale much quicker due to it's cheaper to make this stuff now.
Yeah, no, well said, well said, perfectly said, Jared. And you bring up an interesting point too about how like almost like the counter programming element to this whole equation, right? Where like in the future, or not too distant future, actually, like an all human cast might actually be like a selling point, right? Where it's like
Yeah.
this is an all human, no AI movie, where it's actually like, wow, okay, I want to see that off of that alone. That's interesting, kind of like what almost like how hand drawn animation has kind of become. You see a lot of
Yep.
animation fans like, hey, I want to see a hand drawn film. It's almost doesn't even matter what the film is. We just want to see it. I can kind of see it like with human beings being the same way, where it's like a selling point. Also, even like when we talk a lot about theme parks here on OG55 and Capture the Magic as well, where it's like, I think a lot of people, I think the reason why theme parks right now in particular are really doing great and people love going is it's kind of counter programming to our lives on the phone. Like
Mhm.
everything's an app, everything. I mean, we don't really leave the house. Everything is DoorDash, everything is Netflix, everything is like, and I think the theme parks provide a way to sort of break from that a little bit. Now, mind you, Disney, they are a little phone heavy at Disney, when you get to the
Right,
parks.
right.
But
Well,
in general, still, what I'm saying? Go ahead,
yeah,
Jared.
I completely agree. I think human beings, no matter what, humans don't change over time.
Yeah.
At least my opinion. I think if you look historically, people don't really change. The toys we play with change, but I think that humans will always want human connection on some level. And so I do think that you could see like a studio that's like, we don't use AI, and then it's like the handcrafted furniture. Like you can go get it at IKEA in places, but there are people that like, no, I want this made by a craftsman. I want high quality stuff. And I think it really comes into like, if you're Hollywood, you're facing multiple fires. You've got all sorts of problems in Hollywood going on. A lot of it is their own doing. Some of it is technologically based. But if you can lean into providing a real human experience that AI can't provide, like you're going to have to make what you offer unique to what AI can do. And AI is going to make a lot of bounds, but I don't know if you'll ever get to a point like it would be very interesting about an entire AI movie that doesn't look animated, that looks lifelike. And can you get past the uncanny valley? And we run into this at video games all the time. It's like video games look great, but they still have that like uncanny valley where it just doesn't quite look right. And I personally think human beings have souls, and you can't quite. I always think there's going to be something people are going to be able to pick out where they're like, that doesn't quite look right. And I think
No,
that'll be interesting.
no, 100%, Jared. I mean, even today, with how good AI has gotten, I've noticed that I'll be scrolling through Instagram and I'll see an AI person, and it's like, mm,
Yeah.
he or she looks real for sure. The skin texture, the hair, the teeth, all of it. But there's something missing. You're right. It's the soul. It's that twinkle in the eye. There's an energy with a real human being that an AI thing it can't duplicate. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So
AI can duplicate technology. It's smart, but right. It's like those little things that, like, there are so many things that make a human so unique. Can a machine get to the point where it can emulate that? But I also think too, if you look at, and no offense to the boomers, but like boomers get duped by AI video stuff way more than like people of our generation and like younger. Cause like we can sit there and see AI, like that's AI. But my mom will say me something and I'm like, that's not real. And she's like, what? How do you know? And I'm like, I mean, but I can't really put it into words.
yeah,
I'm like, well, if you look at it, it just doesn't quite look right.
yeah.
And I think that'll be, like as time goes along, as people adapt to it, like I think they'll be able to notice these things. But yeah, if I'm Hollywood, it's concerning because again, you've already got so many other issues going on, and they're going to do what they can to fight against it. But it's like if I was Hollywood, I would be much more obsessed with making great movies and shows where you don't have any demand for AI. I think the demand for AI comes when people being frustrated and being like, well, what's it matter if it's AI or if it's Warner Brothers? If it's just, ugh, I don't care either way. I just want to be entertained. I think if they were providing such a great service that you're like, no AI could emulate this, then I think that's the way to protect your industry in many ways.
That's a great point. Yeah, if you're making quality products, if you're making stuff that, the creatives at Disney, the creatives at Warner Brothers, the creatives at Paramount or whatever, real human beings creating amazing stuff. Yeah, someone at home with an AI thing wouldn't be able to duplicate that. You know what I'm saying? And that's where you get like, okay, yeah, you can create something that looks cool, but we have the brand, the creative genius behind the storytelling and all that stuff that sets us apart from what you can do at home. So yeah, you're right. The problem though becomes when you have a movie, that's not great, like I talked about Solo earlier, it's something like a very mid movie. There's more of a demand, like, well, let's see what AI Darth Vader can fucking do, right?
Right.
Let's do that,
And then you do have the interesting part about it is, like, I think one thing Star Wars fans have always wanted is, after Return of the Jedi, Luke doing stuff out in the galaxy, like in the extended universe, you could use AI to create those stories that maybe, Lucasfilm's not willing to do. Like, you can have fan art become much more like realistic in what they're able to provide.
True.
So I think the potential for individuals, and I think a lot of things are just becoming decentralized, it becomes much more easier to level the playing field. But I think, again, if you're just Hollywood or these industries that are threatened by it, you need to really focus on your product and just make it where it's almost like you just can't match it. Instead of trying to fight it and using all your energy for that, use that as a way to be like, okay, like, and you can look at the 90s, how many banger movies came out. I mean, if you look at like 1 year in the 90s, you're like, there are like 10 movies that are classics.
Yeah.
And people were trying all sorts of stuff. And I don't think people are pushing boundaries as much anymore, partially probably due to algorithms. I mean, like, well, this isn't popular, we don't want to take this risk. Maybe this makes them take more risks and do things outside the box to try and set themselves apart in many ways.
That's a great point. Mr. Duck, what are your thoughts on this? What can Hollywood do? What do you think Hollywood can do to sort of nip this in the bud a little bit? Because clearly it's becoming a growing problem.
Just a couple of things. First, the creator of Tilly Norwood, they put out a statement saying that AI is just a natural progression, it's the evolution of entertainment, and it kind of almost made it seem like, we had Photoshop. Nobody had an issue. Nobody has issues now with Photoshop, but now you just use AI to fix everything. And before then, we had to do it manually. But now we're just progression moving, and it's evolving. I think AI is evolving quickly, much more quickly than ever before. But then, we had, you had to use dictionary to correct our words, and then we had autocorrect, and then we had like programs to fix our grammar as well, and then we had AI to fix all that for us, and then now we just have 2 prompts at AI to create everything for us. So is that like, it blurring the lines of creativity, or is that the next step of evolution? Some people think that's what the creator of Tilly Norwood thinks so. I think it's a fine line, and a fine line to the point where Hollywood right now, right, a lot of the AI stuff that's being produced is using their data, and that's where that's the unfortunate thing, that the cat's out of the bag. There's nothing we can do about that of being released, but what we can do is put in regulations. It's a fine line. I don't like regulation, but also at the same time, I think you do need it. But at the same time, I'm just like, I don't want government interference, but it's like, you kind of do if you want people to keep their jobs. You want everything in line. You don't want to be going down a slippery slope where everything's just.
You don't want it to fall off a cliff too quick.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to go into a controlled descent either way with this stuff, you don't want it to be like me, and just all of a sudden you want it to, like, at least it's like an ability to like slowly go that way.
Because if a lot of these smaller studios are using AI, they're using AI from data from bigger studios, and then after that, where is the data being trained from? Because we're just going to reuse the data that we already have. There's a lot of weird things in here, especially with Disney, Comcast, Warner Brothers. They're finally. It took some time. Disney was the one first doing it, but they're finally trying to sue the smaller companies. I think they're scared to sue the big ones because they don't want to get called out from like Elon Musk and OpenAI. But they're suing the smaller ones now to basically say, you used our IPs, you used our data, and you can't do that. You have to stop. And I feel like in the future there might be a deal where AI is okay, you can use their data, but Hollywood would get paid for it.
They're going to be licensing for it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
It'll be like when Napster came around with music. Eventually, like, I think that you're seeing that with video now, with on-demand stuff too. Like, it all kind of goes that same way in many ways.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that kind of brings me to Disney, right? Because we're coming, I believe, early 2026 is when they're going to announce the new CEO. right? Is what I'm hearing. And who knows? We've been we've been stood up at the altar before with this, so you never know.
Iger's pulled back and not shown up to the wedding before. We'll just put it that way.
100%, Jared, 100%. So, this is very much a, early 2026 with a little asterisk for sure. But assuming we get the announcement, I mean, if it's Josh Giamaro, Jared, I mean, does that worry you? Because like for me, he kind of scares me. Not that because I think he's like an idiot or nothing like that. I think he's actually a very savvy corporate executive. I'm just a little concerned, or even a lot concerned, about his ability to navigate. First of all, he's never been a Hollywood guy. He's always been parks. And so even just to navigate Hollywood under normal circumstances would be difficult and challenging. But he's coming into this, assuming he's the next CEO, as a parks guy, now going into a Hollywood landscape that's changing drastically with AI and stuff. I mean, that is kind of concerning. I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, and you never know, to be fair. I mean, you never know. You put in there and he might crush Hollywood more than he did at the theme park. We don't know, but it's just
right.
It's risky though,
He's an unknown commodity on that end. That's why I think Disney has always been made more sense to have a dual CEO set up. You got one guy that handles, like, you got, competing strengths there. You had that in there, Eisner and Wells, obviously Walt and Roy. But if it is Josh, I would assume that what'll be interesting if it is Josh, does Dana Walden stay on? And if she does he tap her for more of a role of like, you handle Hollywood, which you could. I mean, you're the CEO. Like Iger has been very hands-on, but a lot of CEOs aren't. You look at the way Comcast is set up. They have Mark Woodbury handle the parks. I never hear anything about Brian Roberts, and now Mike Cavanaugh is the co-CEO, which that was released last week, which is interesting. Did you hear that news, by the way?
I did. Theme Park Wizard actually told me that. And I'm like, that's actually pretty cool. I like that. I want Disney to do that. But
I'm betting Cavanaugh got some job offers, is my guess, and they wanted to keep him. That's my theory. Who knows? But
real quick before you go on to your point, but that's interesting that you bring that up. I never thought about that. Disney's looking for a new CEO, and now Comcast is over here. Oh no! Yes, that's a fantastic point, Jared. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, that because he's been there for like 10 years. They've been grooming him. So, and Roberts is, he's not old, but he's getting up there. So, but you've got these guys that Brian Roberts, I don't hear him saying anything about the parks. He just lets Mark Woodbury run the parks.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the approach that Diamaro would take. And maybe he does have more of a focus on the parks, having his background, but he lets Dana Walden or somebody else handle that. That will be very interesting. And you're not wrong in this landscape. There's no blueprint for this. It's not like you can go to talk to even these movie executives now. They're all trying to figure this out as they go. And I think that's the interesting thing. You also have the boomers have held on to these positions of power much longer than historically speaking. So you got a lot of older people in charge of these companies as this new flood of technologies running in that they don't understand. And so they're going to be forced to tap into the younger demographic to be able to even understand, like, what is this stuff? What can it do? Disney has kind of gotten on the bandwagon. A lot of these companies, I think, are hesitantly setting up AI divisions. And I don't know how they handle it. What'll be really interesting is with Hollywood, it's like, do they embrace it on, like, where do they embrace it and where do they fight it? And then what is the market's reaction to, like, what I think is going to happen to these independent, let's say you and I start a studio, we use AI to create stuff, and the forefront is really good storytelling that just so happens to use AI as the delivery mechanism. Right. So if you're telling good stories, but you're using AI as the art to do it, that also sets up an interesting thing too, because it's like, what do people want more, the storytelling or they want the human connection? And that may just be something that we see play out over time to see what it is audiences want.
Yeah.
And I don't think AI is going to be really good. Like, AI can give you ideas. It's at least not at this point to the point where it can just give you a script that's like, that's a great script without any edits. I don't think it's there. But in the art side, that's, I think, where much more of it could come into play, like this AI actress and things like that.
Yeah, it's concerning. We have friends. Like, our friend Jay Shear, independent film director and stuff like that. It's hard to kind of like, you feel for people. You feel for people in the industry, but it's like what you and Seymour were saying though too, where it's like there's progress and there's technology and there's things move on, and it's like when cell phones were invented, that eliminated like legacy jobs, but then new jobs were created with that. And so it's like it's this kind of like you know, push towards the future, but it's like, you know, even with the addition of like CGI, right? Like computer animated movies and what have you, that undoubtedly, well, you got, you know, you got rid of the ink and paint people, right?
Yep.
You know, because now you don't need them, and
Yep.
it's like, so there's always that loss, and then with this AI thing though, like you were saying, Jared, it's a quick descent though, you know, so it's scarier.
It could be. What's interesting, and I heard this on, I don't listen to it a ton, but Matthew McConaughey was on Joe Rogan's podcast, I think like a week or two ago, and they were talking about AI, and they were just talking about how crazy it is and all this stuff. And McConaughey had a really interesting thing. I don't think he necessarily was trying to come up with a new idea, but he was saying what he wanted for himself was a language, I think it's called an LLM, basically your own AI, your own language model. It's not connected to like other people can't access it, but you feed it things. And he was like, I would love to have an AI where it's just like, I give it things about me that I find interesting so I can learn more about me from this AI interaction. I actually think on what's going to end up happening is these companies may already have them, is they set up their own versions that are cut off from everybody else that they can utilize it with their own, like, this is the way we like to tell stories. This is how we've done historically. Like Disney could plug in decades of movie making and figure out trends of what made these movies really popular and find out more about themselves. Like you could see it in a situation where they make better content from it. And maybe they use it that way. But then if it's just Wild West where anybody can use these IPs and all, you know, then that gets crazy. But it does have the potential, like they could take it and utilize it if they have the right people in the company that understand. Like that's the other thing too. Do they bring in people that really understand this stuff to utilize it to their advantage, which I think they may be in the middle of? I mean, you have Facebook and all these ones, they're poaching AI scientists for millions of dollars to get them to come over to their company to develop their AI. I could see studios get involved too in trying to get in just so they can maintain their own.
Yeah, it's such an interesting time to be a fan of this stuff, because this could go 14 different directions. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, if not more. And what I think is interesting, I think one of the things that's going to end up being way more in demand with all this technology is like live streamers, like content on YouTube, because it has that human connection. You can chat with somebody, you can super chat your favorite person.
Yeah.
Like I think that is going to become way more in demand as everything becomes much more like, is it AI or is it not? And you know, yeah, hey, I know OG's a real dude.
Yeah.
I can watch Orange Grove 55 and I know it's him. And like you can do that. And I think that is something that will grow. So there will be industries that see a boom in unexpected ways, I think, from AI as a byproduct of it just becoming so much more like in the zeitgeist of everyday life.
Yeah, well said, well said. Mr. Duck, I mean, what are your thoughts on this in terms of like the changing landscape in regards to the Disney CEO? We've talked a little bit about the succession quite a bit together, but I mean, with things heating up, I mean, what do you think? Is Disney going to be forced to maybe have Dana Walden as like president at least or something, to have that studio knowledge part of this whole equation, or what do you think?
I've stated many times I'd rather have an external CEO, but I know it's not going to happen. But there's still time. You know, there's so many controversies Disney has been doing just in a couple of last months that, you know, bring Tom and Kevin back. Just bring them back. Just acquire their company if they need to, because I know they have a really good company that they don't want to leave behind. And you know, they already have a deal with Disney for Coco Melon to be on Disney Plus. They already started a bridge, so they could already. I mean, that's my go-to way of fixing everything right now is having those two guys. Those two guys are in the industry. They know what's going on. I trust them more than even if Dana Walden and Josh was a co-CEOs. I trust them more than that.
They're my dark horse. I still think that it could be in contention. I've said that for years. I agree, Seymour. I think that because they are also consulting with Iger. They don't talk about it a lot, but they have been consulting with him about the next CEO.
Fascinating. That is fascinating. Yeah, those are my guys too. I've been rooting for them for the longest time. Tom Staggs has like that nerdy, cool factor to him that Michael Eisner had. You know,
and they were in the running last go round.
They were. They were. Were
they both in the running like as a dual CEO setup, or is it just like they were just going to choose one only? I can't remember.
I think they were just going to choose one, and it's interesting because, they let like Tom Staggs. He left, and he did great with the park. So I was like, oh, I mean, he got a bum rap on that. And then Kevin Meyer, the crazy thing about Kevin Meyer for me, and this is what really shocked me with the Bob Chapek thing. Kevin Meyer, the whole Bob Iger legacy was built on his acquisitions.
Yep.
And it was Kevin Meyer who was the architect behind all that. And he got passed over for fucking Bob Chapek.
I honestly think when it comes to the Chapek decision, and this is me, I have no inside info on this. I think Iger, he might be a great guy. I think he's probably, like most CEOs, obsessed with his image and his ego. Didn't want to choose somebody that potentially could be looked at as greater than him after Iger left. Chapek, if you look at Chapek, he looks like a villain. Like he's not even good on camera. You're like, why would you pick this guy? And I think that may have gone into it where he looked at Kevin Mayer and Tom Skaggs as like, maybe these dudes would do better than me. And so like, but maybe not wanting to do like, it's like, well, I want him to be okay. And then if he does bad, I come in to save the day. I kind of think if you're talking about these high level CEO guys and their egos, I could totally see that being a scenario that is like part of the equation.
Oh, I could see that too. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that could have been a possibility. And I think that he underestimated how bad Chapek was going to do, maybe. Yeah. Like, because a lot of that stuff was pretty bad. Like the ScarJo stuff and all that was like, I mean, things really got out of control there for a while with Chapes, you know?
Yeah.
And you know,
well,
honestly,
CEO is like a image thing. It's like Chapek was a pencil pusher spreadsheet management guy. He never was going to be this like portray a strong image of the company, which I always felt that way about him. I never liked when he ran the parks either. No. And I was just like, I never thought he made a lot of sense at all, which is probably why they brought in the other guy from Morgan Stanley to kind of run the succession plan now, because I don't think they trust Iger choosing the next one on his own.
Yeah, no, and that's smart. That's smart. They got Seymour. What's the guy's name?
James Gorman.
Yeah. From what I'm hearing, and Seymour, from what you've told me, he's pretty solid, right?
Yes, and the shareholders wanted something in return to make them happy.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. Hey, I mean, you know, we're talking AI. Maybe Chapek was AI the whole time. Who knows? he had that.
Well, I will say Chapek got a good deal. He just got a little severance package. He's just hanging out on an island somewhere with being the fall guy. So I don't feel too bad for Chapek, but yeah, I mean, maybe, you know, he could be an AI Disney villain.
You know what I'm saying? Now, here's the thing. A couple things about Chapek that I do want to say to his credit. I do think that if he ran any other company, it could have been an insurance company, Pepsi, or, you know, any really Bank of America, whatever. I think he would crush it. He would hit home run after home run. I think in that business setting, Excel spreadsheet world, he's awesome. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Disney, though, like you were saying, Jared, completely different animal. And you have to have, it's a kind of a front-facing, customer-facing CEO job, you know? Yep. And, you know, Michael Eisner had that, like, you know, times 10. Even Bob Iger does. I mean, Bob Iger is more of the billionaire Tony Stark kind of guy, but he has a personality where he is likable. He's not like completely like, you know what I'm saying? He's a charming dude. Chapek didn't have any of that. And I think that really did him in. And especially in Hollywood. Hollywood hated Bob Chapek. I mean, bad, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, Disney's a unique company in that way, which is like, you look at Walt and Eisner. It's like you want somebody who is got that, you know, twinkle in their eye, and they've got that whole thing. It's just those people don't come around a lot. No. But that's also why I think a dual CEO setup works, because you kind of split that whole thing. Maybe I want somebody that's more charismatic. Like Diamaro fits that. He's very in front of a camera. Diamaro can sell, you know, he can sell ice to Eskimos probably. He's just a very charismatic guy. I guess the questions are his business savvy. Does he know enough about the company to do this stuff? Unknown at this point. But yeah, I agree. I think Chapek probably would have done well in other companies. And there's ceilings to people's abilities. He could be a great upper management guy, but when it comes to running the whole thing, it's like you see this in sports where you got a good offensive coordinator. He gets promoted. He gets 3 or 4 different head coaching jobs, and they're all terrible. He's really good at running one part of the team, and maybe that was Chapek. Maybe Chapek was just good at this one aspect, and he wasn't ever meant to run other things, but that's also on Iger to not recognize that through the, 5-year plan they had to like figure out who was next sort of thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we'll see how it all shakes out. You know, I mean, if it's Josh, hopefully he surprises us, and hopefully he can hit a home run. I'm just worried about the Hollywood stuff. You know, he's done good enough for the parks. And the parks are a pretty stable business, but Hollywood is not stable right now. And the studio side, I mean, actually, Disney's kind of now. I do believe Disney's luck at the box office will change. I mean, we have Avatar coming up, and that's probably going to do another $2 billion. But
Probably.
I do. You know what I'm saying? So
you won't even remember anything about the movie. You'll just be like, it made how much? $3 billion? Okay. All right, fine.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure they're going to recoup a lot of this year's losses with that movie alone, probably. But I mean, but the studios, not just Disney, they're all kind of like hurting right now in general. They're really going through a seismic shift. And for tomorrow to come in there and be like, yeah, I'm the parks guy, I'm going to fix it. I'm like, okay, you know, it's a little nerve wracking.
And you got Paramount making a lot of moves, and I think they're going to try and make a big splash if they're able to get Warner Brothers, and they're already being aggressive. That'll be interesting to see them come into the picture of what they're able to do. They push, you know, Disney and Universal, these other ones like that. I think there's a lot of questions around Hollywood in general before you even get to AI.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. Mr. Duck, any thoughts before we get out of here tonight?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to say that in regards to management and the CEO succession, it's not happening, but I would like Disney to be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more ballsy. They need to push back. They need to take control because they lost their narrative. People are canceling them left and right everywhere, and it looks like they're just giving in to everyone's demands, and they don't know where they're going, and they lost control. And when I look at the CEOs, even dual CEOs, and I see Josh and Dana, and it's like, I think they need to do better. I think they need to look externally. I think they need to go aggressive and take back control. And then, restart everything, even with a lot of the people who work in the company now, right? There's been a lot of mistakes in the past, and I think they need to take control of that too. Star Wars hasn't been the greatest for the past few years, and nobody's taken responsibility for that. That needs to be fixed. A lot of these things need to be fixed. Quality control needs to be fixed. And when Bob Iger came back, he said that's going to happen, right? People are, they're going to have to take responsibilities. If you don't take responsibility, you're out the door. That didn't happen. None of that ever happened.
No one. I think one person lost their job, Victoria Alonso from Marvel. I think that was the only one that the accountability train came and got, and that was it.
That's because I think she lost her job because she went after Chapek, and even Iger was like, I don't want, if you're going to go after somebody, he's like, well, you might do it to me, so you get out of here.
That's true.
I think that was probably what that was. I agree with Seymour. I think it's human nature. Businesses obviously run by people. It's very difficult to stay on top and stay aggressive. It goes against, like, when you're up in sports is a great analogy for life and business in many ways. Tom Brady's, Michael Jordan's don't come across very often, where you just have these obsessive people that just stay on top, and that's all. And and when they happen, you're like, holy cow, look at that. But typically you get to the top and you're like, oh, I can miss a practice. Like, it's not that big a deal. And same thing with a company. And I think Disney has been very reactive to lots of things around them. I think they need somebody from the outside with a vision of where they want to go and say, this is where we're going. I'm going to take us there. Eisner did that. The board wasn't always with him, but he knew where he wanted to go, took risks to do it. And I think Disney is just very much a company that is trying to maintain what they have. And so in my opinion, you're either growing, there's no neutral in life to me. You're either growing or you're not. Are you getting closer to your goal, or you're getting farther away? And I think Disney, thinking they're staying neutral and trying to maintain, is just slowly losing what they've had, instead of taking the risk of trying different things to stay on top, as they've had increased competition on the theme parks and the movie side and the streaming side. Like, everywhere there's more competition, but they're just kind of holding on to what they've had. And I don't think that's a way you can operate forever. No. And then they're big, they can do it for now, but eventually, like, this is what leads to companies just dwindling and dwindling. And you need somebody that's going to cast a vision out there to say, no, this is where I see us going, and we're going to go. And if you're not on board, get out of here. And I don't think Iger's ever been the type of dude to do that. I think he may have wanted to do that, but I don't think he wants the image of being a guy that fires a bunch of people, even though he has. They've had layoffs and things, but I think he's much more just his legacy is what he's concerned about right now.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. We talked about this in our group text and stuff too, where Jay was mentioning that, kind of like how Iger is in legacy mode, which is what you touched upon right now too, Jared. He's in legacy mode, but the company needs something different. and these things kind of run counter to each other. And what Disney needs as a company is different than what Bob Iger needs for his legacy.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Because well, even when he ran for president, or he was going to, he used the Disney company in many ways to set up the things he was going to run for. Right. And I think he was leveraging many ways what was good for Bob Iger, but was not good for the company.
Right.
And then I would say, what was the board doing the whole time? But that's been my question for like 8 years now, but I digress. But I agree.
No, absolutely. And the other thing too, you touched upon trying to please everybody as content creators, right? I mean, Jared, you and I both have a channel, right? If we were to listen and act on every single critique and suggestion that you get in your comment section, I get in my comment section, our channels would be an absolute mess, bro.
Oh yeah, you'd have one video pro this, next one like, well, actually, upon further review, like you would never have a narrative of you're right. It'd be an absolute just crap show.
A crap show. You have to be willing to make some people mad. And hey, you don't like my opinion, I respect that. But at the end of the day, that's where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Disney isn't like that though. Disney, it's like, oh, okay, we're gonna fire Kimmel, and then, well, okay, people are mad. Okay, here he comes back now. They did the same thing with the DeSantis stuff, which got them into a world of mess with that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And it's like
I think that comes from them being unfocused.
Yes,
getting into these side little things because you don't like. If you're a person with a focus on your life and you're like, I'm going here, and there's a squabble over here, you're like, I don't care, I'm going this way. But when you're kind of just hovering, you're like, oh no, what is this? And like and I think that's part of it is not having the vision. So I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
No, that's 100%. That's exactly where they're at. They're in kind of like this like fight or flight survival mode. And you can't thrive in that. You're just surviving, you know, and you have to be able to take a stand and say, I'm not even saying with even like the politics, but even just creatively and stuff. Like Star Wars is a perfect example. They got all this heat for The Last Jedi. So their answer to that is, well, let's focus group the third movie and try to please everybody. That's the worst thing you could possibly do. And that movie, it's like Disney, what are you doing? And you just have to be able to take a creative stance or whatever it is and stand by it and just have faith in, like you said, you have faith in your vision. And but they don't have that. They don't have the balls for that. Or Bob Iger's getting too involved. Here's the other thing too. The Dana Walden thing is really interesting, right? Because it's like, Dana used to work for Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah.
And she's very progressive. I mean, she's not a conservative. And she was able to sort of navigate those waters just fine. Enough where Rupert was like, yeah, I respect the hell out of this woman. She did a great job.
Yeah.
But then I feel like she's making a lot of mistakes on the Disney side. And I'm like, well, is that Dana? Or is that Bob Iger meddling? Because I'm not so sure. Like, why was she so on top of her game over at Fox, though? You know what I'm saying?
I feel like that's been my question, even when it comes to the parks, too. How much of these things have been D'Amaro? How much of them are Walden? Or how much of them are Iger? Because we know he talked about he's watching dailies on movies, giving notes. Like, he's involved a lot in this stuff. Like, how much of this is these different heads or how much of it is Iger? That's a really good question. I mean, until we see one of them in charge, you know, maybe D'Amaro completely changes the way that things are run and we go, oh, he always had a different vision. But until that happens, I guess we can just take a guess. I do tend to believe, though, Iger kind of overrides this stuff because of him being so legacy focused and wanting to be perceived certain ways and the company be perceived certain ways. But that's just my guess.
No, you're right. And there's more of a vested interest on Bob Iger's side for his legacy to meddle in Dana Walden's stuff and the studio stuff than to meddle in like Josh D'Amaro's stuff. The theme park stuff is very separate from the little Hollywood world. So he's gonna let Josh do his thing. Okay, you're over there, you're doing your thing, great, cool. But the Hollywood, the stuff that Dana and like Alan Bergman, the stuff that they deal with is all his friends.
Well, you got to think too, you want to get invited to all the parties and you want to mingle with all the celebrities, and you don't have that as much on the theme park stuff. You're right. And you got way more social status when it comes to celebrities in Hollywood and all these people.
Exactly. Mr. Duck, you sent me this article. Do you care to set the table for us, brother?
Yes, because what I wanted to talk about here quickly is about how Disney responds to a lot of the backlash and gives in to the demands. And we have the opposite here, where Nintendo, they just don't care. They just pretend it doesn't happen, and they just focus on what they do great, make good quality games. And I feel like Disney should be taking that approach. Just make good quality movies. Forget which side is asking for what, and go back to the basics and just make good quality movies and TV shows.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely.
I
Nintendo might
completely
have the right idea. Go ahead, Jared.
I agree with Seymour. He's my spirit animal this whole stream here. I've said that about Nintendo for years. They are the most frustrating company, but also I love them in the fact that they don't react to anything. They don't react to the stuff like the nonsense they don't need to listen to. But a lot of times they don't listen to their fan base either. They just go and they just like, we're going to make our kind of type of games that we're going to do, and we just march along. And I would much rather have that as a company, that I'm a fan of a product, versus one that, you know, whether or not you agree with it or not, you look with all the Disney stuff and like, Kimmel's fired. No, he's back. Well, you may know, like, it's just back and forth. You're like, what are you doing? Nintendo is just like, we don't care. Like, we're just gonna keep making Mario games, and we're gonna put up movies, and you're gonna love it. Like all the complaining about the Switch 2, I think in the stage of its sales, it's like the #1 console ever at this point in a new console sales, or it's one of the top ones. So all that negative people, you know, the pricing, everything like that, it didn't affect it. And I think they know, they're just like, yeah, we're just gonna, and they'll listen somewhat, a little, but they don't listen all the way. It's just kind of the way Nintendo does their stuff.
No, it's a smart move. You can definitely over listen to fans. I think,
Yes.
you know, you can definitely over listen, and sometimes you just have to make a decision and stick by your decision. And Disney has a real difficult time with that. You know, Nintendo seems to have the cojongas to stand by what they, you know, what they're doing, and I think it pays off at the end of the day. You know, isn't that kind of what they say though about like cancel culture too? Like if you don't really react and you just kind of do your thing, then
Just keep going.
yeah.
Yeah, you just keep going. Well, and you gotta think Nintendo too. They're Japanese, and also you do see Miyamoto is still there, and he's the godfather of Nintendo. What's going to be interesting about Nintendo is after, sadly, when Miyamoto is no longer around, when the second, third generations kick in, do they stay this course? Because that's where you see the stuff fall off. Like, obviously, when Walt Disney ran things, it was much different than whenever his predecessors ran stuff. But as you currently stand, you do have these people still involved that were part of Nintendo when it started. And I think that is something that is very unique to them in this current landscape that is not unique to all these other companies that you're basically, that they compete with, or just in, you know, media in general.
Yeah, no, well said, well said. We're going to close it out, but before we do, I want to share, I think Jared might know this website.
Oh my goodness, those are some good looking shirts.
CTMAPPAREL, co.com. This is Jared's merch store. Great stuff here. If, you know, theme park stuff, and even just like Nintendo merch. You can see this great little Mario shirt right here. Check it out. I'll be linking it in the description down below. If you use promo code OG55, you get a 10% discount on your purchase. So make sure you go ahead and grab yourself a nerdy shirt, and you know, support our good friend Jared here. He does a lot of great work on the content side, obviously, and also a lot of great merch here at the apparel store. So make sure you check it out. Also, friend of the channel, Miss Mimi Fan. If you are in the LA or OC area and you're looking for Korean barbecue places, Vietnamese restaurants, or cool, you know, boba spots, Mimi is your gal. You can check her out on YouTube, Instagram. She's also on a new creator platform called Passes. Make sure you check her out on all those platforms. And yeah, if you're into great food, she is your gal 100%. Jared from Capture the Magic, where can everybody find you on social media, my friend?
Well, thanks for having me. It's always a good time talking about whatever we talk about on here. I like that we can talk about like so many different topics. It's a good discussion regardless. And of course, it's always great hanging out with my favorite duck. He's like a Disney duck that just hangs out on his own desk. It's always a good time. You can find me at Cap the Magic everywhere. Like I said, if you want theme park related, you know, specific info, at CTM Podcast, where you can find my wife and I on our podcast where we talk about that stuff there.
There he is. And Mr. Duck, where can everybody find you on social media, my friend?
Yeah, just want to say thank you for inviting me. I had fun. And yeah, you can find me on X at Mr. Seymour Duck.
There he is. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Comment down below with everything we discussed today. The AI, Tilly Norwood, your thoughts on that. You know, we even dipped into a lot of like Disney PR stuff. So, I mean, I know a lot of our audience has thoughts on that for sure. So we would love to hear from you. Comment down below. Just keep it civil. Thank you for watching this episode of OG50.
Thank you so much for watching OG55. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and become a member today.